Hey, it's Mike Brennan, and we have a new co-host today on Michigan Marijuana Today, Dave Crabill, Dave and I go way back. We did the iHemp Hour together for years, um, and also he's the former president of the Industrial Hemp Association of Michigan, and he's still on the board. Welcome, Dave.
Good to be here, Mike.
All right, lots to talk about in a short period of time. But let's start with something that really interests me that you're working on. You have not so much the templates, but the agentic program that you're developing. A lot of people are using AI, but a lot of people aren't using it to where AI is really helping them organize their time and their efforts. And these agents that you're working with are helping you do that. Why don't you explain?
I will. And I forgot to log in here first, Mike. So that's one of the things that's real important when you're working with agentic AI is to keep privacy and security in mind as you're working on these things. So what I'll share my screen in a second, but uh, let me tell you why this came up. Besides the fact that I'm perpetually curious about technology, is I'm a bit of a domain junkie. I do a lot of website development, have for decades. And I've collected a lot of domain names that I thought would be great to work on in the future. And you know as well as I do, it takes a lot of time, energy, and money to build websites. So even in today's day, but if I could have an AI do it for me, it'd be even gooder. So the OpenClaw is a new agentic AI where you give it a soul, like what its meaning is and what its identity is, and then you give it agents that can take action on your behalf. So instead of just that back and forth chat that you have that you're used to going to get content or research information, now it can actually take action on your behalf. So I had 15 iHemp domain names. So iHemp California, iHemp Colorado, iHemp Texas, iHemp Florida, bunch of them. And I thought I had 17. So I ended up buying two more. And I'm going to be buying five more. And I spun up 17 websites uh, through this OpenClaw agent that I created. And then I needed a way to manage that content flow and that that work, because that's a bit overwhelming to keep content going to that number of sites. So this is still under development. I'll do a little more show and tell next week if you want. But there's two other sites that are WordPress sites that are the e-commerce site. One of them's not built yet. And the other one's my iHemp Harvest where I sell my CBD salve. Um, so this shows me, an overview of my sites. This shows me all the sites and what their status is. And one of the things that I found super beneficial is to get it to go out in the morning because I have my agent go out and do research for content to write articles. And in that process, I wanted a brief every morning of what's going on in the hemp industry. So this is an example of my executive brief. And, it talks about, the big issue is the farm bill right now. Unfortunately, during the period of time when the government was shut down briefly, this Mary Miller amendment, this lady out of Illinois, snuck this garbage in that would ultimately kill the hemp industry. We've always had a battle, and we'll talk more when we get to the beverage side in that. But between industrial hemp, where we're talking about the fiber and the herd, I've got demos here, but these building materials and animal feed and textiles and all the other things that hemp can do versus the intoxicants. But that CBD is not an intoxicant, but they're treating it as such in that they're regulating such a low level of THC in any CBD products that it would have to be an isolate, which is just getting it right down to a white powder in order for any CBD products to be sold, which I think is more dangerous and less beneficial than having a full spectrum product with the 0.3% at least THC. So anyhow, I get this draft in the morning that talks about the Farm Bill and what's going on, and the FDA and the DEA and the FTC. You know, any signals, what are they doing, and any states where there's active legislation. You know, I can quickly scan to see what's going on with current legislation around the state. So it keeps me up to date, and then it gives me a content opportunity. So um, I can review this article um, and add a featured image to it. You know, like this one here on the Hemp Feed Coalition. We wrote, you know, I've got this featured image queued up, and there's an article ready to go. So this whole content pipeline is going to be filled with content ideas once I get the rest of the you know, the flow working, and I'll be able to look at my analytics and look at key research. You know, so everything's at my fingertips in one place, and this is all being built by me. I'm not a coder. Uh, um, I'm really not that bright to do all this stuff on my own, but I'm using an AI agent to instruct another AI agent. I'm just the dummy in the middle, and it's pulling it together pretty nicely. It's been a slog. I started this in the middle of March, so and it's been an obsession. So it's not a project to be taken lightly, even though AI is going to do the heavy lifting. It still takes time, and there's times when it takes you down the wrong path. You have to identify that.
Yeah,
So
well,
that
that's the problem with AI is it's still learning. The generative AI, starting with Chat GPT, has only been out for a little over 3 years. Sounds like a long time, but it's still kind of developing. I work with my AI quite a bit to do research for stuff, and sometimes it'll pull up it will pull up stuff that's just not real, and so
yeah,
you have to, but each time it pulls up information, it cites what the source is. So then you have to go to the source to make sure it's not fabricating something. The
yeah,
other thing that it tries to do is uh, pull up quotes and doesn't attribute the quote to anybody. And I go, we can't do that. You've got to attribute it to a human, and why you're quoting this human. In other words, what company are they working with to show their credentials, right? Otherwise, why are we quoting them? Things like that. So it hallucinates a little bit. It's getting better and better because everybody in the world is using it now. And that's the other thing that you get back to privacy and security. If you use stuff on AI, it's an open domain kind of thing. It's you don't have privacy on that information. Technically, I guess anybody in the world could tap into what you're looking at on AI. At least that's what I've been told. Is that what you've been told too, or what?
uh, I don't know. I guess anything's possible, but I think the bigger issue is that, especially with the corporation with proprietary data, you're as you're using it, you're training the AI, and that becomes part of its context. So if someone queried that specific information somehow, it would know that, and it could report it back out, even though you wanted it to be proprietary. So that's why a lot of there's enterprise instances where it's contained. It's not, you know, it's under behind a firewall. Everything's all the memory and context is kept contained. So that's where a lot of that's going. And and on that, did you know that Chrome just added 4 gigabytes of data on your hard drive?
I did not know that.
They added a nano AI bot. right in Chrome.
Really?
So on a Chrome update, you also get 4 GB of an AI tool that you didn't ask for if you didn't want it. I mean, I use them, but that's concerned some people because if they didn't expect it or didn't want it, well, it's already there. So I know the Europeans are going to be looking at that real close because they have a whole nother level of paranoia going on.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they have rules that we don't have in the United States.
Yeah,
But it seems though that everybody is turning, not everybody, but it's really a wave. Um, I've lost track of how many various generative AIs there are out there. I think we're pushing a couple dozen now. And each one of them sort of does something special, and
yeah,
getting trained on all of them is a real challenge because I mean, you got to really know, okay, so for this I need Claude, or for this I need Chat, or for this I need Gemini, or whatever, because each one sort of has a specialty it does, right?
yeah. Do you want another tip?
Go ahead, I'm all ears. You can
So
tell here.
I
So,
might have, yeah, I might have mentioned this to you before, but do you see sim theory here?
not yet. Oh, now I do. Okay.
So simtheory.ai is a tool, $20 a month, just like your Chat GTP subscription, but you have access to all these models. So all the models are here. You just pick it, from the list, and like if you want really good image generation, you could actually, tell it use Nano Banana, or use the latest OpenAI image generator. Those are the two good ones now. Um, it's all in here, and then there's an agentic mode in here as well, which you would have in your Chat GTP when you give it the agent. It does have some agency, and you can install all these MCPs. I forget what MCP stands for. I just heard it this morning, but you can give it specific skills, to use. So if there's certain things you wanted it to be able to access and work on, there's
Mhm.
APIs to work back and forth, and so it's getting real interesting. It's got me obsessed trying to keep up and learn it because it's changing really fast, and there's a lot of options,
So
and
that's
there's
SIM, sim theory, right?
SIM, yep, sim
Okay,
theory.
I'll check that out. So now the other question, I guess,
Yeah, they just got
since
bought by Canva. So if you have a Canva Pro subscription, you
ah,
probably are going to get all those tools in there, I'm expecting.
okay, yeah, Canva is a design uh, uh,
Yep.
AI agent, I guess, and it's been
Image
around
design.
a long time. Canva's been around for years, I know. So
Yeah, it's just to set up. It was like a publisher online, the old Microsoft publisher, if you can
right,
think back
yeah,
to
okay.
that.
Now, I guess you're using it in a unique way to develop a bunch of websites for the hemp industry. What about the cannabis industry? How could they use it to help them stay current or efficient or whatever word you want to use?
There anything that is a routine process, you could train an AI to do it. I mean, they even have customer service agents. Customer service is a big area where AI is taking over. I mean, you drive through a Taco Bell, you're talking to AI, but so it could answer the phone, route phone calls, answer questions. I mean, I imagine there's ways. When I had a retail store, the inventory was the hardest job.
Yeah, so I was just going to say the cannabis folks could use it for tracking inventory, couldn't they?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a way, to do that because I'll go into a store and I'll take a picture of an aisle and I'll ask it a question about what it's looking at, and it can look at the picture and tell you everything you need to know about what's there and dive deep. So yeah, yeah, you'd have to think creatively and think about small steps. what you could do to, um, you know, take some workload off people. Because what it does, there's a big fear about getting rid of a lot of jobs through AI. But in reality, we're just going to get more done. That's our, remember, Mike, back in the day when they kept talking about the 4-day work week?
Yeah,
Do you remember that?
I remember
Has
that.
that happened
I
yet?
don't know what that is personally, but I've heard of that. So
Back in the 80s, before most people listening ever paid attention, but yeah, they weren't born yet. But yeah, we all this talk about a 4-day. We're more productive. We're going to be able to have a 4-day work week. Well, no, we went 6 days, 7 days instead.
if you own a business, it's the 7 day work week.
Hmm.
There's always something to do. I mean, you got to stay away from the computer on the weekend, or it sucks you in and you start working. So,
Yeah, but
but
here's the other thing with, and I'm not there yet. I have a goal to be there, but the way most people are vibe coding now, because you can make, like, I'm thinking, like, for a dispensary, they could create their own CRM, customer relationship manager, or inventory manager, or financial spreadsheets, and all that can be done through AI and automated to move things where it needs to be. That if data's moving, and you can control it just by talking to it. So a lot of people now are just talking. English language is the new code. You don't have to learn code anymore. If you know the English language, you can code.
interesting.
Hmm.
So certainly something that one of the things we've been obviously at MI Tech News, we write a lot about AI, and I use AI for research and whatnot. And it's just there's so many things, but the thing is, getting back to your thesis on, is it going to replace people? Maybe, but why fight it? I mean, I've also seen a lot of copy and read and written some stories that said people that learn AI and learn how to use AI are going to be that much more valuable versus those that are scared of it or not using it. I mean, Matt Roush and I on MITech TV, being a couple of long-time journalists, um, at first, I didn't want to go near it because I thought it was going to replace me, as it were. But then when I started using it and realized how efficient it is doing research, geez, stuff that would take me hours or days to research, it gets done in like 30 seconds. But again, you got
Yeah,
to be careful with it. You just can't accept what it gives you as the gospel. You need to do your homework and check it out. But I would by no means say that I'm an expert on AI, but I'm now comfortable with it and I'm learning to go with it. And it's become a very, very big productive tool for me. I can get so much more done than I could before. And running a very small shop like I do, there's a whole lot of stuff that I get done in the course of a week. And writing is only part of it. So, but yeah, I think you got to embrace AI because it's the future. It's the now, actually. Because every time I turn around, I get a press release from somebody saying, "Oh, we're using AI now." I mean, everybody's embracing it. At least all the bigger
mhm,
companies. Maybe not some of the smaller ones, right?
yeah. Well, I remain optimistic. I'm one of those. I forget the right brain or left brain. Left brain is analytical, right brain is creative. Is that right?
I don't think that's what it is.
Something like that. But
What's one or the other?
so I'm the distracted ADHD creative guy, and I've got ideas all the time. And I see this as an entrepreneur's wet dream, man, because you can build whatever it is you want to build right now. If you have the time and energy and resource. I have less than $1,000 into this whole thing where it stands now, and my costs are going way down. Like, that report cost me 24 cents every morning to be generated.
Really?
That's token usage, and tokens, like the smallest part of a word or phrase. So like hamburger might be three tokens, but um, it that the tokens are it's a complex topic, but you're using computer inference, computer time. When as you're using AI, you're using uh, that computer usage, and you have to pay the freight, right? So, um, but you can leverage your ideas and your creativity. It's fun to build. It's fun to create.
Yeah,
So I think it's
absolutely.
an opportunity for a lot of people that have the ambition and want to put a little energy into it.
Yeah. And certainly, when will you be rolling out your stack of 19 hemp-related websites? Is that like sometime this month or when?
Yeah, well, I I don't I'm not as cautious and judicious as my business partner. He's not involved in this, Jeff. Jeff, because they're live now. They're out there now. They're not the way I want them to be yet. It's a work in progress. So yeah, I'm not gonna shout it to the world. I'm probably another month away before I get everything done. One of the big hurdles I have is I have to build another WooCommerce e-commerce site because I'm going to have iHemp International is uh, iHempInternational.com will be the website that everything points to, and I have some ideas. I think I talked to you about my hockey app before, Perfect Skate,
Yeah, I
but
think you mentioned that.
I have a tool. Hockey is one of those expensive sports, and you need 20 guys to show up to an event, to pay for it. So I created a tool to organize all that, and it works really good. And I'm going to expand it to other areas. I also help out with a fraternity, the Ancient Honorable Order of Turtles, and there's ponds all over the world, and they're always banging on my door because my site's the one that you'll find if you search Turtle Club, and pond directories and such, but they're always asking for more and more and more, and I see this as a tool also to organize those types of activities, and I can see in the hemp industry, like we do, builds or demos or making CBD salve together, getting together for advocacy. There's reasons to gather for that. So, yeah, I have I have a lot of work ahead of me. This is going to take me all year to get to where my vision in my head is going to be based on how long it's taken me in 6 weeks to get this far. But
Well, now
I'll
that you mentioned the
speed up.
Turtle Club, why don't we wrap up this segment with you showing folks your Turtle Club website? Can you do that?
Oh, the the
Right.
ancient and honorable order of
And
turtles.
they probably have no idea what you're talking about either, so you can explain that.
Yeah, so this is fun. My dad was in the Air Force in the 70s, late 60s, I guess. And it started in the military. It initially began um, during World War II, where the pilots would come back from their sorties and they were blowing off steam in the English pubs, and they wanted to join. They saw on the wall a pub, International Order of Foresters and all these different organizations, just like we'd see Kiwanis or Rotary or Lions Club. If you go to a pub here, and they couldn't join those because they're foreigners in a foreign land. They're over in England, so they decided to create their own club, and it's really an old I gotcha. It's assumed that you own a jackass. That's the reason for the password. If you're ever asked if you're a turtle, you must reply, "You bet your sweet ass you are." You bet your sweet ass I am, or
As
you
in
owe
the
that
jackass,
fellow.
not your behind, right? So,
Yeah,
uh
otherwise you owe that fellow turtle a beverage of his choice. So
huh.
it's an old drinking fraternity. This is the ancient outer, and these are people from all over the world. I've just about every I'll show you the turtle directory. We just launched this just over a year ago now. So we're pushing 3,000 turtles, and the map's going to populate in a second. It's not cached because I get a few joining every day. So this is we don't we need to get our friends in Argentina on board. Um,
Looks like Africa's a little sparse
New
too.
Zealand, Philippines, some over in Europe. So yeah, so it's been a lot of fun. So it's mostly uh, I'd say it skews older, because it's been around a long time, and people it comes around on the memory, and
I
and I
believe you sell turtle merchandise too and stuff.
yeah, so turtle cards, and
Show that again. I was talking.
there's like a custom turtle card, that I offer, and I offer stacks of cards. Some of these ideas, what's worked with the Turtle Club, because the reason for the turtle cards is the whole procurement. Because yet, in order to become a turtle, you must answer 4 riddles, and they're pure minded. So that's a whole nother story. But so that's on the cards. So that's why I sell a lot of cards.
Okay. Well, we haven't figured out by now. Dave has been involved in website development since I think you said mid '90s, right?
94, I built my first website in Netscape. I had a
Yep.
pager business at the time, and I actually got some FEMA work when there was a um, tornado went through the area. I rented a bunch of pagers because they found me online.
There you go. And so, if people want to find you online now, where do they go, Dave? Not for the hemp stuff, but for your marketing business.
Uh, well, for the marketing business, that's advantageintelligentmarketing.com.
Okay. And any other plugs you want to throw out there?
No, no, just contact your congressmen, your senators, everybody. Tell them to fix the damn farm bill and not kill industrial hemp. We need 2 paths for hemp. The cannabinoid side, and the fiber side, food and fiber. But we need to get on the right track with the cannabinoid side too, because don't be afraid of a plant. It won't hurt you. Not like a lot of these other poisons are shoving down our throat. So
Yep. Well, then we'll talk about the impact this may have on THC laced beverages next week. That's part of what's going to happen by November 12th if changes aren't made. I know that's a whole different topic that we'll pursue next week, but I wanted to give you a chance to introduce yourself to the audience and what you typically do. And so I think you've done that.
there's no typical, Mike.
There's
No.
no typical. Okay. So
All over the board.
we call him Dave AI Crabill, you know. So
Yeah,
all right.
I
Well,
appreciate it.
any final thoughts for the audience before we sign off?
Peace and love. That's all we need.